Currently, all of our JSP pages have the exact same header and footer information. We're going to extract that information into a JSP fragment, also called a JSP segment. The first thing we're going to do is move all of our JSP files, except for index.jsp, into a folder called View, which we will place in the web-inf directory. All of these files are session specific. They're going to depend on session information from the client. Once you do this, run the project. You'll see that the files you just moved are hidden, even if you type their complete path names into the address bar. For example, if you type the address for the page located at affablebean/web-inf/view/category.jsp, you will receive a 404 error message. The resource is not available. That's because any and all resources inside the web-inf directory are not public. They are intended to be used by the application, but they are not directly viewable by the client. In the next section of this tutorial, creating the controller servlet, we will see how to make these files accessible again. Now that we've moved most of the JSP files, we're going to extract the duplicated header and the footer information from all of these files. First, we'll create a JSPF directory underneath the web-inf folder. Again, since this folder is underneath the web-inf folder, any resources it contains will not be browsable by the client. We're going to put two resources in this folder. One is header.jspf, and the other is footer.jspf. The header fragment will contain all of the code that starts each JSP file, up to and including the closing div tag of the header section. The footer fragment will contain all of the code that finishes each JSP file, starting with the line that begins the footer section. Once we have these files, we will delete these lines from each of our JSP files. Finally, we will go into our deployment descriptor, web.xml, and create a new JSP property group called headers and footers. We're going to tell our application to apply this property to the resource index.jsp and to all resources in the web-inf/view directory. In other words, this property will apply to all of our JSP files. The property we're going to apply is that of prepending the header.jspf fragment to the beginning of these files and appending the footer to the end. If you run the application now, the welcome page will display, but we still can't access the other JSP files.